This was supposed to be a simple black coffee.
And this was meant to be a venti, half sweet, non fat, caramel macchiato.
I'm American. Ordering coffee is supposed to be my home turf, my one area of expertise. I was so wrong.
And I learned that waltzing into a proper British cafe and asking for your usual, highly customized American drink is a terrible idea. It was a social car crash,
It was an absolute disaster.
a complete and utter shambles.
Today, we're not just talking about coffee. We're talking about two cultures, two languages, and two spectacular ordering fails. We're sharing the hilarious, confusing, and frankly, traumatic world of trying to get a cup of coffee on opposite sides of the Atlantic. All right, let me set the scene. I was back in the States visiting family. I'm jet lagged, my brain's running on fumes, and all I want, all my soul is crying out for, is a simple, straightforward black coffee. That's it. Just hot bean water in a cup to make the world make sense again. So I walk into one of those super trendy third wave coffee shops. You know the type. Lots of reclaimed wood, a guy with a magnificent beard who looks like he wrestles bears on the weekend, and a menu that reads like a chemistry textbook. But I'm not scared. I'm an American. I know this world. Or so I thought. I get to the front of the line, and the barista, who's impossibly cheerful for 7 a.m., asks, "Hey, what can I get started for you?" This is it. "Hi, can I just get a large black coffee, please?" The barista's smile doesn't fade, but his eyes suddenly held a universe of follow-up questions. Awesome. Did you want our single origin drip of the day, which is a Guatemalan bean with notes of citrus and dark chocolate, or would you prefer a pour-over? I just blinked. The world tilted. Pour-over? Drip? I felt like I'd been asked to solve a riddle. My brain, still buffering, could only cough up a single, pathetic word. Coffee? He chuckled, a kind but pitying sound. Right, so the drip is our batch brew, quick and ready to go. The pour-over is hand-poured, takes about 4 minutes, and really brings out the nuanced flavours. I could feel the people in line behind me starting to radiate impatience. I panicked. Drip is fine, just the regular coffee. Large. You got it, he said, turning to a series of levers that looked like they belonged in a science lab. Did you want a dark roast, medium roast, or our light roast? What happened to just coffee? It used to be a complete sentence. Now it's a personality test. The pressure was immense. What does my roast choice say about me? Am I a bold, dark roast guy? A balanced, reliable medium? A quirky, acidic light roast? Medium? I guessed, my voice now a squeak. It felt like the safest choice, the Switzerland of coffee roasts. Perfect, he chirped, grabbing a cup. And is that our 16-ounce grande or the 20-ounce venti? Oh, for the love of... The bigger one, I pleaded, gesturing vaguely. The biggest one you have. I couldn't bring myself to speak the secret language. He nodded, making a mark on the cup. Venti medium roast. Got it. Any room for cream? No, I said, a little too loudly. No cream? It's a black coffee. The absence of cream is the defining feature of the drink I am trying to order. He just smiled. Gotta ask. Some people like black coffee with room. No room. You got it. He finally filled the cup and slid it over. All right, that'll be $6.75. $6.75 for a black coffee. My hand was trembling a little as I paid. I scurried away from the counter, feeling the eyes of the coffee connoisseurs I'd held up with my incompetence. I took a sip, and it tasted... fine. It tasted like coffee. Did it have notes of citrus? Was it chocolatey? I have no idea. My palate was too traumatized. The whole ordeal felt like a high-stakes negotiation. And for what? For this. A cup of coffee that cost more than my lunch. I know you can still walk into any diner and get a simple cup of joe, but I had wandered into the final boss of American coffee, and I had failed the test.
Oh, Adam, you think that's a disaster? That's rookie mode. Let me tell you about my attempt to navigate the British cafe scene. It was less a negotiation and more of a Cold War played out over a sticky tabletop. So, there I am in the UK, feeling very cosmopolitan. I've mastered the tube. I know to stand on the right. I even said cheers to a bus driver. I was basically a local. My confidence was at an all-time high. But after a week of drinking what I can only describe as polite, unassuming coffee, I was craving my usual. My taste of home. My very specific, gloriously American drink. I find this adorable little cafe. Not a chain, but an independent place called something like the Corner Nook or Barrel's Banter Box. It was charming, with floral curtains and a sign for all-day breakfasts. It felt authentic. I walk in, full of confidence, with my very precise order ready to go. An older woman with a kind but no-nonsense face is behind the counter. She looks at me and says, "What can I get you, love?" Deep breath. Here we go. "Hi," I start, beaming. "Can I please get a venti, iced, half-sweet, non-fat caramel macchiato with an extra shot?" Silence. A profound, deafening silence that seemed to suck all the air out of the room. The clinking of cutlery stopped. A man in the corner lowered his newspaper. The woman's kind face had frozen into a mask of pure, unadulterated confusion. It was like I'd started speaking in fluent Klingon. She blinked slowly. What?" I repeated it slower this time. "A venti, iced, caramel macchiato." She just stared. I stared back. It was a standoff. Finally, she leaned forward and said, "We don't have that." I was prepared for this. "Oh, okay. No problem," I said cheerfully. "We can build it. It's just a vanilla latte, but with the vanilla syrup on the bottom, then milk, then ice, then you pour the espresso on top to get that layered look, and then a caramel drizzle on top. And non-fat milk, please?" Her expression had now shifted from confusion to something bordering on pity. "Love," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "We've got coffee. And we've got tea." "Right," I said, my confidence wobbling. "But you have an espresso machine, right?" "I can see it." "We do," she confirmed. "I can make you a latte, or a cappuccino, an Americano." "Okay, what about a macchiato?" I asked, thinking we were having a breakthrough. "A macchiato," she said, nodding. "Of course." And she reached for a tiny, thimble-sized cup. No, not that kind," I yelped. "A latte macchiato, a big one, a large one." I didn't dare say venti again. That word was clearly cursed. "Large?" she asked, picking up a cup that I would generously call an American small. "And iced?" I whispered, feeling my dreams dying a slow death. "Iced?" She looked out the window at the gray, drizzling sky as if to say, "Ice? In this weather?" The question hung in the air, thick with judgment. "And the syrups?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Vanilla? Caramel?" She gestured to a single, slightly dusty bottle of hazelnut syrup. "We've got that," she said, with zero enthusiasm. That was it. The battle was lost. My complex, personalized order, a symbol of my identity, was meaningless here. To be fair, you can get oat milk and syrups in lots of UK cities now, but I had clearly wandered into a time capsule. You know what? I said, surrendering completely. A latte is fine, just a normal, hot latte. She nodded, relieved the international incident was over. One latte. She handed me the small cup. No name, no modifications, just a latte. And you know what? It was delicious. But as I sat there, I felt this overwhelming sense of failure. I tried to force my loud, complicated American ways on this quiet, simple place, and I got completely shut down. It was a cultural disaster. My disaster.
Listening to your story, I'm realizing we both walked into the most extreme versions of our coffee cultures. My failure was a failure of overcomplication in a place that thrives on it, and yours was a failure of bringing American-style complication to a place that just wasn't having it.
Exactly. It gets down to the whole philosophy of coffee. Let's talk about the first big difference, the default coffee. Adam, in that specialty shop, there was no default. But if you walk into a normal US diner and ask for a coffee, what do you get?
You get a cup of drip coffee. A big pot of it was brewed, and it's sitting on a hot plate, ready to go. That's the baseline. Espresso drinks are what you order when you want something fancy. In your cafe, Jessica, that whole idea didn't even seem to exist.
Not at all. In most traditional British cafes, if you ask for a coffee, the next question is, what kind? Because the default is espresso based. Lattes, cappuccinos, and Americanos are the standard. The idea of a big jug of filter coffee isn't as common in cafes, which can confuse Americans who just want a simple black coffee.
Which brings us to the second and biggest difference, the culture of customization. In America, especially at the big chains, the menu is just a list of suggestions. It's not just accepted, it's expected that you'll modify your drink. Half calf, extra hot, soy milk, 3 pumps of this, a drizzle of that. It's a form of self-expression.
And I walked right into the opposite of that. In a traditional British cafe, the barista is the expert. You're there to have a coffee they make well. Ordering isn't a creative collaboration, it's a simple request. Now, that's changing. And a lot of modern UK cafes are totally on board with customization. But in those classic spots, asking for a dozen changes can feel like you're telling them they don't know what they're doing.
That explains the standoff. This also ties into the language barrier. Your macchiato incident is a perfect example. In the US, thanks to Starbucks, a caramel macchiato is a huge, milky vanilla and caramel latte.
Exactly. But in Italy, and by extension in traditional European-style cafes, a macchiato literally means marked or stained. It's a shot of espresso with just a dollop of milk foam. So when I asked for a macchiato and she reached for that tiny cup, she was making the correct drink. I was the one who was culturally lost in translation.
And the sizes, tall for small, grande for medium, and venti for large, is a specific corporate language. You tried to use that dialect in a small independent shop, and it just didn't compute. They probably just think in terms of small and regular.
My final point is the social vibe. What you described, Adam, with the impatient line and the pressure to order fast, feels very American. It's about efficiency, a high-speed fuel stop. Where I was, the pace felt more relaxed. The barista wasn't being rude. She was genuinely trying to understand what on earth I wanted. I was the one disrupting the natural, much quieter order of things.
So, who had it worse? I was overwhelmed by endless choice in my own country, and you were shut down by a beautiful, simple lack of it in yours. I think we have to call it a tie, a dual disaster.
I agree. We both learned that coffee is never just coffee. It's a little window into a culture. Whether it's the American love of infinite choice or the British appreciation for a simple, well made classic, you have to know the local language to survive.
And we have to hear your stories. What's the most confusing or disastrous coffee you've ever ordered or witnessed?
Please let us know your American or British coffee horror stories in the comments below. We need to know we're not alone. And if you enjoyed our beverage based breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe for more. Until next time, may your coffee be exactly what you expected it to be.
Or, at the very least, may it have caffeine? You'll probably need it.